Good afternoon, everyone. I apologize for the delay. I was testifying in the Appropriations Committee in Annapolis today. And thank you all for being here on such a beautiful day here in Northeast Baltimore. As you can feel today, spring is upon us, which means it's time for us to get out, come outside, and get together for some old-fashioned spring cleaning, or deep cleaning, as my grandmother used to say. First, I want to acknowledge Councilman Antonio Glover, who's here today. Apparently from the city, only the councilman and myself got the message this was about the cleanup. So no one's prepared to clean up today but he and I. Our city administrator, Chris Shorter. Our deputy city administrator, Chi Nagaya Nash. Look at that. Deputy Commissioner of Housing and Community Development, Eric Booker, who's not ready to clean up, but he definitely cleaned up for today. Our Rec and Parks Director, Reggie Moore. Our Transportation Director, Steve Sharkey. John McCrory, Managing Director from Morgan Stanley, and also our DPW Director, Dr. Jason Missel. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Patty Dow from the Friends of Heron Run Park, which is my favorite park in Baltimore. I wanted to again give a special shout out to Director Mitchell and also Scott Davis, who leads my Office of Neighborhoods, and Director Mitchell's team for the diligent work that his team, the DPWs, does each and every day to make our neighborhoods and our city a safer and cleaner place to live. Let's give them a round of applause. Especially, it's really important that throughout the pandemic, we have to remind ourselves that while we all were at home, recycling hopefully, but a lot of us were trashing 3 times more things, our DPW workers couldn't take off. They didn't get to call out. They didn't get to say we weren't going to show up. They had to come and deal with 3 times the work during the height of a pandemic when many of us were able to just say, I'm just going to stay at home today. So all the time we should thank them, but especially when they were putting themselves at risk for getting sick and doing things that people wouldn't do normally during the pandemic. We must continue to thank them each and every day. We also want to thank all the agencies involved, and it has been truly a team effort. The mayor's spring cleanup and now annual day of service is coming up at the end of April, on April 30th to be exact, and we are excited to work with all of our partnering organizations this year, including Morgan State University's Ascend Center, Let's Thrive Baltimore, Friends of Heron Park, and Morgan Stanley. These organizations have already committed volunteers for the cause, and I strongly encourage other organizations to reach out to my office to register and show your support in helping us beautify our city. Call 311 now to register for the mayor's spring cleanup. This cleanup is about all of us, the entire city, collectively working together to make Baltimore's communities healthier and cleaner for all and more livable for all of us. Accountability is a word that we hear a lot, especially as elected officials. But today, I want to challenge all of us, including the residents of Baltimore, to take accountability for the upkeep of your property, your community, because that's how we all have to think it. Growing up, when the councilman and I grew up, we all participated in trash ball. We know that I was the best trash ball shooter the city's ever seen. But you have to. We all have to participate. If you all are familiar with the phrase, if you see something, say something. But today I'm going to ask you charging you to do something too. If you see trash on the ground, pick it up. If you see someone throwing trash on the ground, have a conversation with them. You pick that trash up, you throw it away, you recycle it if it can be recycled. And if you see anything else in your neighborhood that needs to be changed and addressed, call 311 and let us know. Let these wonderful workers at DPW, let community partners who help us each and every day get out and help you in your community. I want to emphasize that this is not going to be a one-and-done initiative. We're going to be changing the way that we do the mayor's cleanup. We've been doing annual spring and fall cleanups for over 20 years in the city, and it is still just the tip of the iceberg in us as we collectively bring about the changes that we want to see in our city. We also will not be doing what I would like to say is the quintessential mayor stop and pick up a few inches of trash. If you participated with us in the spring cleanup last year, as my agency heads did, some of them probably are still scarred from that, we will be really cleaning up. We will be going to areas that have been suffering with trash and illegal dumping. We'll be going directly to those areas, working with those neighborhoods, and I encourage everyone to participate in that. I would love for our TV stations and radio stations to pick one of the neighborhoods that have been historically done with trash and help us see what our DPW workers do consistently over and over and over again in the same spots, which is why we have to challenge ourselves as a community to be better and do better by our own property. Coming from someone who grew up next to some neighbors who didn't want to take care of their properties and a vacant house that my father made us cut the grass on consistently, we all know that we have to step up. So I'm calling on all community associations, block leaders, mayors of blocks, council people of blocks, residents, and even visitors to Baltimore, everybody, to join us not just on this spring cleanup, but every day in cleaning up, clearing out, and decluttering our walkways, alleyways, and curbsides in our community. Because everyone deserves to live in a healthy community, and we can do that when we all pitch in. When you talk to our young people in our schools and you ask them some of the things that they want to change in the city, one of the top things they're going to tell you is, why do people throw so much trash on the ground? So as you always know that young people are always going to have such a deep insight and always going to tell the truth, we have to challenge ourselves as adults to be better. And thank you. And with that, I will turn it over to Director Jason Mitchell. Mr. Director.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our DPW's Eastern Sanitation Yard, where you can see one of our community drop-off centers here behind you, and where the hardworking men and women of Public Works deploy and do the work of the city and cleaning this city every day. So I want to thank all the men and women here from the Department of Public Works. The Mayor's Spring and Fall Annual Cleanup helps Baltimore's communities be healthier, cleaner, and more livable. I extend my greatest gratitude to the Department of Transportation, Director Sharkey, and the Department of Park and Rec and Park, Director Moore, who has been continuing support for this annual event. And most importantly, I want to thank the community of Baltimore for continuing year after year to clean this beautiful city. Today, community advocates, block leaders, organizations throughout the city can call 311 and register for cleaning activities. In addition, during the citywide day of cleaning, individual residents are welcome to clean right where they are in their own community by cleaning up loose litter in their residence, alleyways, curbside, and storm drains. For individual cleaning efforts, please note that you can just throw your bag of trash right out with your normal trash, and DPW will continue to pick that up. In addition, you can qualify for storm water credits. And by calling 311, just let them know and they'll send you an application. Residents can also drop off their bags at our 5 residential drop-off locations, and one you see right here behind us in Bowley's Lane. DPW's Bureau of Solid Waste works every day to pick up trash, to remove graffiti, to work in partnership with community and neighborhoods to keep the charm in Baltimore. Spring takes a big toll on DPW, but cleaning and greening efforts help raise and continue to raise our level, and that's when we step up and shine. In fact, coming March 20th will be the first day of spring. And residents can complete some of their spring cleaning. DPW will be prepared and will start the month of April helping and assisting you by having our household hazardous waste drop-off collection event, a free shred day, and a grow center event. So for a little housekeeping, the first shred and grow center event of 2022 will be Saturday, April 2nd from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Middle Branch Park at 3301 Waterview Ave. In addition to that, our hazardous waste collection event will be at our Bowleys Lane on April 1st and April 2nd from 9 to 5 p.m. And please drop off all that hazardous waste that is sitting in your residence. And for more information on cleaning and greening events throughout the city, please visit us at our website at www.publicworks.baltimorecity.gov. And to ensure that Baltimore is safe and healthy for all, we must continue to work together as neighbors to create a cleaner and healthy Baltimore City. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Director. And now we will hear from John McCrory, Managing Director from Morgan Stanley, one of our partners for our cleanup. John?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John McCrory, and I'm the Managing Director of Morgan Stanley Global Centre here in Baltimore. We've been in Baltimore for almost 20 years and employ over 2,000 staff. Giving back is a core value of our firm, and giving back to our communities where we live and work is a central component to walking the talk. We have many long-standing partnerships here in Baltimore, which our staff volunteer with throughout the year, giving many hours to assist where we can, in addition to grants and donations. And we are super excited to be here with the Mayor and his team to support this initiative. As you can tell, I ain't from round these parts, but I'm personally excited to be living here in Charm City. And to me, it's so important that we all do our part to ensure we make our city a clean and healthy environment for everybody. As the Mayor and Jason mentioned, the importance of residents coming together is vital, but it's also critical that corporations and businesses such as mine play an active role in supporting our neighbourhoods. So Morgan Stanley staff and their families will be volunteering on April the 30th, and we very much look forward to participating. And thank you, Mayor Scott, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much. Now we will hear from Patty Dow from the Friends of Heron Park. Patty?
That's news to me. I'm thankful that everybody that came here today to listen to Mr. Mayor and corporate sponsors, because we need hands on deck. We need volunteers. And April 30th is a great time to come out. It's not the only time. So feel free to go into a city park. There's something called plogging, where you walk and pick up trash. You can do it any day of the week. But please do come out on the 30th. Herring Run Park is a long, skinny park. It has a lot of areas that have dumping problems and trash, and we need hands on deck. So thank you guys for the opportunity to speak today, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And last, but certainly not least, and since he's on the council now and he can no longer be fired for it, I'll tell the story. When I infamously drove a street sweeper around this neighborhood and some others in Northeast Baltimore, there was a young man who worked at DPW who was doing that work each and every day, who invited me to join him, and then I demanded that I take the wheel, as I do all the time. But really want Councilman Glover to give some words, as I know he personally knows from both sides, from the community and from the public works side, how important the community cleanups and what they are and what they mean to not just our community but our workers as well. Mr. Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor Scott, and thank you to all the partners, especially DPW Solid Waste. We all know that solid waste is near and dear to my heart. I've been a part of many, many cleanups for many, many years. I've been in DPW Solid Waste for over 15 years. To probably on going on to another position that did come in to become your council person right here in East Baltimore. But again, you know, the hard work that our men and women, you know, do each and every day here in the city of Baltimore really need to be appreciated. That's why we're asking you guys to come out, join us, get to know your neighbors, get to know your community, have that conversation with your solid waste worker, you know, see what they see, feel what they feel, and also understand it the way they understand it. So again, individually we can all do great things in our community, but collectively we can really change the trajectory of Baltimore City. So let's get ready to clean up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Councilman. Questions, everybody? Yes, sir.
It's about
there you
sorry, you got me
Yeah,
now.
you're good now.
Illegal dumping. How big of a problem is that, and what's being done about it?
So it's a huge problem. We know that, folks, if you go on Housing Code Enforcement's website, Deputy Commissioner Booker will tell you that we give citations from people really all across the state for dumping trash here in Baltimore. It's not just people from the city. When our code enforcement folks go out, they go through the trash. They do something that most people won't do. They track down where these people come from, and they get their citations. We see folks dumping trash continuously, but we know that we have to improve on how we clean it up in a more efficient manner. That's something that Director Mitchell is challenged with, that the city administrator is challenged with, but it's also a partnership because I cannot personally tell you the amount of times that I personally have been involved in cleaning up a vacant lot or a series of vacant lots. For example, when we were in Carrollton Ridge, which is probably our most challenged neighborhood when it comes to illegal dumping for the spring cleanup, we cleaned up loads and loads and loads. We filled up about 6 of these. And later that day, the community leader was posting a video of people who had already dumped back in the spot that we had just cleaned up. We have to understand the complexity of it, but this is an issue that has plagued our city for a long time. DPW is hiring. I'm going to say that about 6 times. We need people to come and work in solid waste. Solid waste is hiring. We have great benefits. Solid waste is hiring. We have great benefits. If you want your city to be cleaner, come and be employed by the city of Baltimore. We are hiring people to do that work each and every day because we all have to work together to handle that issue.
And Mayor, you talked about having healthier communities. I wanted to get your reaction to the weekend violence and what you say to people who don't feel safe in their neighborhoods.
Well, that we all have to do better to make sure that that changes, right? When you're talking about the incident in the neighborhood where we had the quadruple shooting, my parents lived there. It's a neighborhood that I'm in basically every day, right? It's a neighborhood that I spend a lot of time in. And we also have to understand that we're going to continue to work throughout the weekend. You know, we made 8 gun arrests this weekend, right? We had another homicide case warrant be served. We had a robbery warrant be served in the city. We're going to continue to work, but we know that that work is not just going to be on the backs of the police department, right? We have to build better people. We're going to continue to support the folks at Safe Streets behind us, but we also have to make sure, and we're going to say this, and I'm going to say this until the cows come home, that when we make these arrests, that these folks don't come right back. And what we have to do is make sure that when folks are there, we're working. My mayor's office of neighborhood safety and engagement is working now with the folks at corrections to actually train folks before they come home so that when they re-enter into our community, they don't have to go back out on the street. Don't ask me why it took us to do that. It should have been something that happened for many, many years. We have to tackle that issue across the board. I was in D.C. yesterday for National League of Cities, and we had a meeting, myself, Mayor Adams from New York, and 20 other mayors. We're all talking about the same exact issue. And the difference in what you're seeing, not just here in Baltimore, but around the country, is the interpersonal nature of so much of this violence. This is not just a Baltimore City thing. We all know what we have to do, and we're going to need all of us, including the community, including the media, including the business community. All of us have to continuously step up to make sure, and we need people to join. There are movements in this city, right? If you are a able-bodied man in Baltimore City and you have 20 minutes of free time a week and you're not a member of We Are Us or don't come out and join those brothers, look at yourself in the mirror. There are so many groups of folks who are working to help, aiding our police, aiding our violence interruptions, aiding all of our agencies working around public safety, and we all have to dig into that work.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Alexa?
You know, he asked my question. So
Oh, well, you good then. You already got the footage.
No, I have.
I'm
I
messing
have a
with you.
follow-up
Go ahead.
question.
I'm just messing with you, Alexa.
Going off of what Mike said, what specifically or how specifically are you working with the commissioner to address this spike? BPD and the commissioner specifically.
Yeah, I think you guys, I don't know if it was you, but you guys were at their press conference yesterday. You know that I'm not going to go into our deployment strategies, but we make adjustments focusing in on people and places as necessary changes when they happen. Again, we know the productivity was high this weekend. When you make 8 gun arrests over one weekend, when you're able to, again, continue to clear homicide cases, as you know, we're over 50% for our clearance rate, something that your station, can tell you we haven't had in many, many years. But like I said initially to your counterpart, this is an issue that we have to tackle from every angle. We have to make sure, again, that while we're making a record number of arrests and gun arrests so far this year, that means on the other side that someone just doesn't make a decision that this person comes right home and our police department isn't arresting this person again in 6 months for a similar crime. We have to make sure that the whole entire system is working together. As you heard from me also, when we're talking about helping people re-enter into society, yes, my mayor's office of neighborhood safety and engagement is now working to work with people behind the wall, as we say, on the street, so that when they come home, they don't go back out there. We're working with our federal partners, but we have to understand, Alexa, that this issue of violence is older than you and I, right? And that this issue of growing violence in our city is not just unique. As you have the footage, every city in the country is experiencing the same thing. And what we all have to do is look at what part we can do better. For me, we're going to continue to make those changes here as we move forward, but also we're going to continue to challenge people. We need people to be talking with their young people. If you are a mother, a father, a guardian, a grandparent of teenagers, right, of young people, when it gets a certain time of night, you're supposed to know where they at. If you don't, check yourself. If you know that people in your family are involved in things and might be involved in one of these shootings, right, including of a 73-year-old man, check yourself and check them too. Everybody has to continue to do better.
How needed are those 22 recruits who were welcomed yesterday?
They're great, and we just graduated a class. We had an academy class graduation. We know that we need more. I will tell you that we're in a very unique position. Most mayors around the country are not hiring police officers or having academy graduations for large cities, right? We are in a very unique position, us with along some others. We know they're needed to help support our officers on the street. We know that they've been trained very well. We're going to make sure that they continue to grow in their leadership as they enter into field training and out on the street permanently. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.